sister of primary school teacher Sabina Nessa, who was tragically murdered in a random attack in September last year, says that the government has to do far more to tackle male violence against women. Sabina's sister, Jebina Yasmin Islam, joins us now, along with Karima Motala, who's become a good friend of hers because she's the co-founder of the Sabina Project. It's a grassroots movement of young women who are working to end violence. But, Jebina, we'll start with you. As I say, it's been 7 months now since your sister had her life so horribly taken from her. How are you all coping? How are you all managing now?
It's all surreal. It feels like a bad dream that we were kind of going through. It's just heartbreaking. Like, you would never thought that your young 28-year-old sister was brutally taken away. Like, if she was, like, ill, we could have had some time to spend time with her, make memories, but her life was taken away without a second thought and out of nowhere. And it's impacted us a lot. It's impacted myself, my sisters. We're scared to walk the streets alone now, and also given the time of day as well.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. I know that, and quite rightly, and I totally support you in this, you don't discuss the man who did it. You don't name him, we don't talk about him. But I do have one very simple question about that. He was jailed for 36 years, guaranteed 36 years minimum, which means if he continues to be alive, he'll come out in his 70s. Do you think that's justice, or do you think he should have been jailed for life, meaning life?
Life meaning life,
right.
Because he's taken my sister's life without a second thought, so he should have all of his rights taken away, because obviously he didn't turn up to court on Thursday and Friday, and life, if you're taking a life, you should serve life until you die.
So never come out?
Yeah, basically, tougher sentencing.
Yeah, and Cam, you started the Sabina Project, didn't you?
Yeah.
Tell us why.
I think the day after the news broke of Sabina's murder, it really hit home to me that she was 28, as was I at the time, and it just felt like such a loss of life. And I noticed that there was a consensus across the campus in different WhatsApp groups from the women in the university.
University campus where...
yeah, at Greenwich, sorry.
Yeah.
And, yeah, there was just a consensus that they were all scared. Some of them lived quite close to Sabina, and I just felt that we had to do something.
Well, you say you want to make the world a safer place for women, and amen to that. How do you extrapolate a discussion on doing that when you're looking at something which was clearly a completely random crime, completely out of the blue?
I mean, I think, yeah, that's a fair point. I think what became apparent in the sentencing hearing is that actually the police were aware that his ex-wife was known to be abusive, to the point that hotel staff actually told them. So I think what we have to look at is that this is isolated incidents that actually show that there's capability of a man that could, you know, seriously injure a woman.
So what do you think should have... This is a very interesting point. So he had a police record, basically, of violence against his wife. So what do you think they should have done that they didn't do?
Well, intervened, I think, at the early stages. I think also when women report domestic abuse, a lot of the time you are held to be to blame for that. So I think there needs to be...
There is going to be a register, I think, isn't there? There's a push. I was talking to Refuge, the domestic violence charity, last week. I do some work with them, but they obviously campaign to try and they're trying to get a register, like a sex offenders register. Yeah, and I think that is the issue, isn't it, that, Jebina, that it must be... Just to think that at any point this could have been prevented, that somebody could have stepped in, that, somebody's behaviour could have been picked up at an earlier stage before it escalated to this, you losing your sister. How do you put your energy into that? And is that, do you find that hard to do?
I think it's hard at the start, just come to terms with it, and the fact that there were these possibilities that he could have been stopped. And I feel like the Sabina Project, that we could do something to tackle male violence and implement a programme in place.
Yeah, I don't think there was necessarily a record of his previous violence, was there? But it was anecdotal.
Yeah.
And so on. And I think that does highlight, I think, for women, the actual problem. They're trying to get misogyny to be a hate crime, and it starts somewhere small. What we might think is small behaviours, the upskirting, the other things, a general sense of a dislike of women and wanting to control women. And I think that takes an enormous amount of education, doesn't it? Because the police and the law can do certain things, but that's after something's happened. What is it that you would like well, young men need to be involved in this as well, don't they? You know, the whole idea of tell a woman to flag a bus down is not the answer, obviously. You know, it was roundly criticised. What is your view on what young men should be educated about, Jebina?
I think it's important that we get the programme across all schools, in as young as like primary, to understand and respect women. I think it starts from a young age.
Well, she was a primary school teacher. I'm sure, you know, if Sabina was, you know, she would have campaigned for something similar for her own children that she was teaching, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just...
Can you tell us, before we finish this, can you tell us what plans your sister had for her future? What was her life scheduled to be like?
Sorry.
Of course.
I'm so sorry.
So I think the head teacher said that she had the possibility of becoming a head teacher one day and really implementing and changing the lives of young children.
She loved teaching.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's really important. I have a 5-year-old child, and even now I'm trying to teach him the core values. It's important that we get in there and get in there early.
Well, you know, it's what can you do in these circumstances, you and your family, that, you know, you can't sadly change what's happened, but you can, as you are doing, use your experience to try and change the minds of the next generation of young men and women to understand, you know, respect for women has got to be the top priority.
And I think it also starts that what I've sort of found doing this is that throughout, you know, the criminal courts, the family courts, the police, social services, that there isn't enough support for women.
No.
Right.
And we're actually not treated, you know, well when it comes to those incidences of reporting.
Yes. And Jebina, can I just say, I think it's incredibly brave of you to come on today. I know you wanted to, and that's why you're here, but it's only been 7 months.
Yeah.
It's not at all surprising that you get upset talking
It's still
about it.
raw, and it's just...
Of course it is. It's 7 months. It's nothing. All right. God bless you.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Thank you.